Okay. So the plan that we talked about yesterday is just kind of move through this material, right? It's all, all this is review. There'll be some stuff that's new, and maybe I'll slow down on that. I kind of think that the slides here are a little, I would organize them a little differently anyway. So what I'm thinking about doing is kind of like, because it starts here with phase 8, right? You guys says phase 8, then completing the treatment plan. So first thing we're going to do today when you sit down with your partner is complete the treatment plan. So I like to kind of do this a little bit different order than the way it is, and we'll just kind of move through it because you know how to do it, right? But we'll just review it to remind you. As far as where we're at in the practice sheets today, you're going to start on 224, so it'll be all right. You're welcome to turn there with me. So you remember yesterday we did find the targets, got to the touchstone, and then we started reprocessing. And then you stopped wherever you did. Some of you had complete sessions, some of you had incomplete sessions. So what you would do next day is you would start off by doing the future desired states. Because do you recall we had this treatment plan form, this handout. Yesterday we got all the information for the whole sheet except for this top line, the future desired states, so we still need to get that. Does this all feel like old news to everybody? So go ahead and start off today getting the future desired states for each present trigger. So if the first present trigger was, I was at family dinner this weekend and my grandfather said something really racist. That could happen. You would come up with a future desired state for, like, if that happened again, how would you like to think, feel, or behave differently? Right? And you do that for each one. We have a video today we can watch that's pretty cool. There's 2 videos we can watch today. One is to continue to watch the chronic pain reprocessing. That'd be good to watch today. And that will be the end of the potentially triggering videos for the whole training. I have a future desired state video that we can watch that's pretty easy going. It's really cool. It's a good example of why we want the present triggers to be specific moments in time. Because his present triggers were like sadness, loss, anything but moments in time, right? So we had to like tweak that and get moments in time. Then we did future desired states for each one. Some really cool stuff happens in that. Like, he really kind of gets me. He makes all the mistakes, which is really great because it creates learning opportunities. So you'll get those 3 bits of information, the future desired states. Next thing you'll do is, already on the page, fill out all the information. So you take everything from yesterday, the future desired states, and you plug that in, and you plug in you do the past events, the present triggers, and then you get the future desired states that you have just done. You fill this sheet out, and then this is done. Any questions about that? That way your treatment plan form is finished for the rest of the time that you're working with the client on it. So the way we explained it last time is you have phases 1 and 2, let's say that takes 2 months of sessions, weekly sessions. And then you come in and you do the reprocessing session 1, which is what you did yesterday. So imagine Thursday and Friday with the client and it took 2 months. Does that make sense? Then you come in and you do the first reprocessing session where you define the targets to the touchstone and you start reprocessing. The next week when the client comes back with the reprocessing session 2, you'll do future desired states, fill out the treatment plan. You'll do phase 8 then to reevaluate what you did the week before, and you'll continue reprocessing. Any confusion about that at all?
Okay, so for each memory that comes up that's being processed, and we're essentially asking, how do you want to feel or behave if you get triggered? And that's like a mini treatment plan, and then another little mini treatment plan for the next trigger target memory.
Feel a little lost by the question.
Yeah, I'm a little lost too.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you do a treatment plan, then you go back to reprocessing and find out what another trigger might be, and then do another treatment plan.
That doesn't sound familiar to me, so I think we might be on a different page.
Okay.
You just add, if it's a new memory, you just add it to the current treatment plan as something to be processed, right?
Are you saying if another memory shows up? Let's walk through this because this is good. Yeah, you have a hunch?
Yeah, so I think what we're talking about is the present triggers. Sorry, we have a lot of this. Just for these right here, what he's saying is for each one of these, maybe not these down here because these are in the past, but these are happening in the present, right?
Yeah.
And what we can do is figure out, all right, so if this sort of thing were to happen again, how would you like to in the future handle it? Essentially,
Yeah.
if you were to be
Like if right here was my grandfather's death and family members, how would I like to be different if that happened again? See how there's little arrows?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is just here up, and then there's the future template, narrows these down, right? And it works with these very top, the desired future states.
Yeah. We're not getting future desired states for the past memories, just the recent things that have happened, the present.
Okay, that's wrong.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. So does everybody here feel like you could sit down today and do the future desired states and fill out the treatment plan with no issues at all today? Yeah? Okay. Well, then there's no point in beating a dead horse then, right?
I do have a question about documentation. I don't know
Yeah.
if this is the appropriate time. And I know we went over it last time, but there was so much information, I didn't write anything down. So you build insurance, right?
I don't.
You don't. You build insurance. So what I've been documenting is like EMDR phase 1, and then what the memory was and the reaction. And this says,
You're welcome to document it any way you like. What I've been doing is, so at the start of, I'll do like EMDR phase 1, and phases 1 and 2 are usually just stuff that comes up, so I'll just document like normal. If it's phase, I will do like EMDR finding the targets, right? And then that's all right because this other document you have, I put it to the other side of my chart, but that right there, the treatment plan and the finding the target script and everything is your documentation for that patient. So I'll just note it over here, almost like you're putting an asterisk by it, and then you can look over here for the rest of the documentation.
ours says online.
Oh, okay.
Can you upload digital files? Yeah. You probably already have a form that you, like, how would you document if you work on a memory with CBT?
Same way, that's basically what I've done.
Yeah. I think you could probably just do the exact same thing, just use more EMDR wording.
And I put as least, because quite
Right,
frankly, I don't
yeah.
think it's any of their business. It is.
And I don't think you need to put like the SUD, their VOC and that kind of stuff, because insurance, they're not even know what that means. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I would just put, I usually just have like a copy and paste kind of thing that I'll put in, and it's like, all right, some real benign, brief thing, like client reported, client demonstrated, something, you know. And I'll just say something like therapist utilizes phases 3 through 7 for EMDR. One memory was completely or incompletely processed. Client reported left in a stable mood and reported they wanted to continue EMDR in the next session, something like that.
This is also online in our stuff that we can download, it's in progress now.
That's in the PTI site? Never seen that actually.
Yeah, that's online, so you could probably document on that.
Can I pass this around?
Yeah. And then, just take kind of what you write on that and just block it
Yeah.
from the HR or take a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a piece of paper.
But as far as writing down like everything, writing down all the memories, writing down the VOC, the SUD, the NC and all that stuff, I've never known insurance companies to even care about that kind of stuff.
The only time that you have to care is if they audit you, because all they see is a CPT code in the back of business.
Yeah, because I was just telling her, we had, IBH, Integrated Behavioral Health Services, does most of Alabama, and, they come back, got audited, and they had to pay back millions of dollars, and their, billing person committed suicide.
Oh my God.
Bill in person one.
Committed suicide.
What is that, MBH?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, really?
Just,
Dude.
so just put down what is appropriate for your, like for me in private practice,
That's really cool.
it's not gonna be a problem, but if you work in a group, especially if there's like government funding and stuff like that, I mean, it's like the amount that you would put for CBT or anything else, just do that with the MDR.
That's what,
Yeah.
You do know though that a lot of insurance companies won't pay for it, or won't, how do I say this? Unless you diagnose them with PTSD, they don't care whether you do EMDR. So if you're billing like longer sessions, for example, some of them will bitch about it. Unless you're documented and they're diagnosed with PTSD.
my son,
Yeah.
so it messes with trauma folks.
Yeah. All right, so you know how to finish the treatment plan. So once you get that done in that second reprocessing session, you're done. That way in the third reprocessing session, the next session you get together, you don't have to pull any paperwork. You just pulled this out of their file and go, all right, so we've cleared 2 memories. We're now on this one. And you just start working. You got me? Cool.
So when do you ever find yourself having to go back to like phase 2 and redoing the triggers all over again, or do you just keep building?
Like, are there times that you would just redo the treatment plan? I have before. Where if I just feel like, especially early on, as I was learning more about how to find targets, I would realize, well, we're actually on the answer here. We built the treatment plan around the answer, not the root. And so there's been times where I'll be like, I don't think we got as deep as we could. How would you feel about just doing this again? You know what I mean? And I haven't had anybody be like, oh, my money back or whatever. They always seem to appreciate like,
Because they're still getting something out of it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's why we do phase 8 too. We're reevaluating. We're asking, are there any new memories that have shown up? And if they have, then you just add them into the treatment plan too. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute when we get into phase 8. All right, so if you think you got it and you sit down with your partner today and you realize you don't got it, then flag me or James down and we'll help you. Okay? So let's make sure today that everybody, if you did, well, it's all dependent on if you processed yesterday. But it'd be really good today to make sure everybody's leaving feeling good about that. So if anything shows up today in practice and you're not feeling so good about it, just let us know and we'll help you. All right, so phase 8, common mistakes. Not yet. Reevaluation is natural. We're checking in to see what changed since last session. I mean, we do a little of this every time we see a client. And so it can become like more of a natural thing instead of a scripted thing. You already do this, hopefully, with every client that comes in. So what's been going on since last time, right? That's reevaluation. We don't give you a script for that, but we give you some like bullet points, some topics to cover, right? So those are just kind of there for you as a reference. But you want to know, what's changed as far as symptoms since last time? Did any reprocessing happen since last time? Yeah, so the target memories, So we want to reevaluate the target memory from last time. The treatment plan could already have been processed. Because, you know, sometimes you hit the touchstone, you clear it, it clears a whole bunch of stuff, right? So you want to check all those too. Then you want to check the client's complete treatment plan prior to termination. So the different ways of reevaluating, you reevaluate what you worked on last time, the one particular memory. Once you finish the whole treatment plan, you can check back in to see if there's any disturbance on any of them. And then you go back like out even bigger whenever you're about to graduate the client. And we do that anyway. So is there anything else you need to work on? Does everything feel clear? All your goals are met? That's what we mean by that. Want to make sure that they're all good before you terminate. We're going to be a bunch of terminators in here, right? We're asking general questions about the present triggers. So is it still disturbing? Were other associated memories brought up? If they are, then you just pop those into the treatment plan in chronological order. Were the present triggers more or less active? And this is really your gauge on how effective the treatment. This is more important than is the memory disturbing, right? We want to know, is the work that you're doing with the previous memories actually affecting the symptoms, the present triggers? And some of you, even like through this training, have mentioned, oh, I did this differently. I spoke up for myself, right? Paula, you said that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good sign that what's being done here is working. So sessions can be incomplete for phases 4, 5, or 6. So basically, if you don't get a 0 twice, a 7 twice, a clear body scan, and read the full, that bottom line, the processing we've done may continue after the session, yada, yada, yada. If you don't get that far, it's considered an incomplete session. You want to ask what's happening between sessions. Are there any new experiences, more processing, changes in symptoms, behavior, or how you relate to people, changes in reactivity, dreams. Did anybody dream last night after reprocessing? Yeah, normal. You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to dream after trainings that I assisted at, like the first, 6 weekends that I did. I'd go back to the hotel and just dream. It's like vicarious processing that I was maybe doing. You want to check for new thoughts or insights? That's awful. What does that bring up? Does that bring up anything? Oh, they wad a gum, man.
Who was chewing that?
That's like the bagging it when
No wonder they spit it out. Not asking about the presenting issue or symptoms that brought them into treatment. That's what we were saying earlier. This is the most important thing. This is the most important gauge. Like, is there any change happening in the symptoms, the triggers that brought them in? Assuming the client system has not processed anything since they left last time. We started the train moving. The client may continue down the track after they leave the office. The part of the nervous system that's doing the heavy lifting during EMDR doesn't know how to tell time. So it doesn't know that the 50 minutes are over, right? So it can continue to reprocess. Chasing cows, crisis of the week. That's easy to get locked into, huh? Anybody have a client like that?
Yes.
Yeah, there's always a crisis on the way to the session, right? And you spend your whole session talking about it. If that's happening, I mean, that's an answer. So the cow is showing up to help. And so it's important to non-violently, right, bring awareness to that's happening in the moment, and bring awareness to that, welcome that, but also encourage a movement back into the reprocessing work. Because sometimes, like, whatever, you want to get to the fuel source that's fueling the reaction of the cow. Does that make sense? If not, you'll just keep getting the crisis over and over and over again. So I'm not checking to see if other memories have lost their activation. Sometimes the whole tree will fall down if we take out the roots. And that looks like it for phase 8. Any questions about that? All right.
Wait, I have a question.
What if you do or have done the restricted protocol and you didn't really get a lot of touchstone? Like, I'm just thinking for her today, like, I did the restricted yesterday, I didn't do early touchstone. So then what would the process look like? Would you just?
For today?
Yeah, for her.
I don't know, we'll need to talk about that. We'll come up with a plan. Right. If y'all stay with us together.
Okay.
Yeah, we just play that by ear later.
What would you do if you did that with an actual client? Like, if they come in and just like crisis mode because something happened and they got really bad.
And then you did restricted.
Yeah, and so you just did restricted.
Well, ideally, that would desensitize the crisis. So then you come in the next session, you could do the full protocol, you could define the targets,
Okay.
get to the touchdown and start reprocessing.
Okay.
Is that cool? But y'all are welcome to do that today too, if that's what you want. It's just up to you. But yeah, we're out, because there was another group that didn't do the full protocol yesterday, so we'll have to talk about that before practice, get a game plan. Let's see. Okay, so some notes about completing the treatment plan. So each event, the treatment plan should be a moment in time. So basically, like, what that means is, like, as the client is telling you the moment in time, you want to be able to visualize it yourself. You want to be able to visualize what you think their kitchen looked like while the event happened. You get what I'm saying? Like the guy we're going to watch later, where he says, so notice what comes to mind when I say loss. Did you see a scene? Not really, no. Right? But if I said family dinner, right? You see how there's more of a defined image? Does that make sense? And so that's what we're looking for. It's like you want to be able to imagine it was like Tuesday at lunch with grandma. You get what I mean? More than sadness.
I don't understand. You're saying we as the therapist has to be able to.
That's the way I look at it. If I can't visualize what they're telling me, then it's probably not a moment in time.
But
So-
like that girl, but I'm thinking that like the girl who said, I'm in a bathroom and I'm not alone. I mean, like, the image comes immediately. That, like, you don't have to know more than that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like, I can see what
Yeah.
is happening there.
Clients sometimes might be like, every time I'm with my mother-in-law. That's really vague. You know what I'm saying? But if you're like, Sunday at my house with my mother-in-law, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can get, or you'll hear clients say stuff like 9th grade. But if they're like, you know, I don't know,
9th grade in the cafeteria.
in the cafeteria, sitting across from Billy Bob, whatever. Yeah.
Jamie, do you care if I ask about yours?
Huh?
Do you care if I ask about yours?
No, go for it.
So we got a memory from when he was 1, but then he felt something coming up that was earlier, but he couldn't describe it as a memory. It was more of a sensation, like a pressure in his temples, and it was like, I'm guessing from birth.
Maybe.
So,
I would still come up with an image.
okay.
I think that's important, especially for where y'all are at, because you can get really lost processing the sensation, because there's nothing to anchor you back. So when you, like if you say, when you go back to that sensation, what do you notice now? What if it's gone? You know what I'm saying?
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so you can get really lost. I've seen a lot of people get really lost in sessions when they're just trying to work with sensation. There's ways to do it, but I don't think y'all should fool with it now personally. If you have a hunch that it's birth, I would rather you come up with an image to connect to the sensation.
Okay.
Maybe because when you said pressure in your temples and birth, an image came to mind of a birth canal for me. There was an image. So I would use that image, so that way when you go back to the original image, what are you noticing now? There's something to go back to. You get what I mean?
Mhm.
That's my advice on that.
Is it possible that if you have that situation where you don't have an image and you come up with an image and it feels right in that moment, but after you do some processing, the image no longer feels right and the image changes into something else?
Is that possible? for
That's
you?
okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what if, like, you know, maybe I mentioned the lady who, when she was like a week old, was crying and her parents didn't know what to do with her, so they put her on the porch. Everybody had an image come to mind of the baby on the porch, right? Like, let's say hypothetically, like at the end of the reprocessing, and see, we get back to the original memory, what are you noticing now? And she's like, well, my grandmother is holding me and she's brought me inside. Right? That's changed significantly. But we're still, like, it's still a moment in time. You get what I mean? That moment in time has now shifted, which is fine. You can still, like, feel anchored in that more than the pain in my temples are gone, and now I feel something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's just more like vague. Yeah.
I remember there was probably the first memory I did in my basic training. The end of it, I was basically baby Mario, which was weird. Like, I pictured myself with the hat and everything. There's no way that was the case, but it felt true.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
Right.
If it's here now, it's true.
Is that why this thing is called the Memories and Lies log? Like, that word lies feels weird to me. Almost like, well, you're lying. I'm not lying. This is what I remember. Like, you think, you can say yourself, well, that's probably not accurate, but you said, well, if it feels that way. So when we go tell clients to, you know, stuff comes up, put it in your memory and lies charge. That
Yeah.
feels weird to me, like you just made that up, you lied about it.
Yeah.
It's like, unless,
Then don't use it.
what?
Then don't use it if it doesn't resonate with you. You know what I'm saying?
So with the lies, people like the negative cognition.
Yeah, it's like the illusion that your mind tells you isn't true.
So this is,
What you developed from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the lie about yourself, yeah. But it is a harsh word now that I think about it.
yeah, the lie is I can't handle it. So like it's the
Or I'm unlovable.
Yeah. And then the memory showing up is like, oh, this time I was starving.
Yeah.
No, that's a good observation.
What was the memory or the negative cognition?
I don't like the word lies either. It's harsh.
It's kind of refers back to her quote though, everything.
Keeps you being a shining star as a
Yeah.
memory or a lie.
Yeah, true.
Maybe it's just her brand.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but harsh words, it's kind of like the difference between molested and raped. Sometimes it is what it is. Does that? Okay.
If you don't like it, make a version of it.
Well, I didn't really
that's-
understand.
Yeah.
So you just now said it in negative cognition.
Yeah, it's a different. I get it.
Or it's
It
like,
sounds
maybe like a lie that somebody told you about yourself. You know,
So-
the parent was like, "You're a rotten kid." That's a lie.
Okay.
You know, that's not true.
Maybe if you decided to use it, you could print off Deb's quote and explain that. You know, like print that off when you give them
What's your quote?
the one that they just said, everything that keeps you from being a shining star,
Oh,
is either
oh,
a memory
that's
or
a
a
good
lie,
idea.
and then you can connect with that,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Or you can just change it.
Yeah.
So ideally, you want to process those moments in time chronologically. That's another reason why it's good to have moments in time, because, you know, if the client was like, every time I went to Dad's house, well, that could be from age 0 to 18. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to chronologicalize. Is that a word?
I don't think so. Is now.
I like it. I like it. It's hard to do that unless you have specific moments in time. At times, more recent memories are also processed when the earlier ones are processed. So you saw that last time in the video with me and Deb. There were 3 memories. We cleared the first one. Came back the next day. The second one was completely cleared. The third one was significantly cleared. Another reason why we start with the earliest and work our way up. Each memory could be a whole session or more than one session. If the target is incomplete, you're restarting the session in phase 4. So review of that, what image. Let's see, so here's like that mini phase 3. You know what I mean when I say mini phase 3, Melissa? It's kind of the way I talked about it, but Alice may have talked about it differently.
It's been quite a
Yeah. You know, phase 4 has all those questions.
Yeah.
You use that when you start working with the memory for the first time. If you have an incomplete session, the previous session, you come in, you reevaluate it, and you want to kick it back off to work on it more. It's a similar process to phase 3, but it's shortened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no NC, there's no PC, there's no validity of cognition. So you just say, you know, what we worked on last time, it's still disturbing, yeah, okay, so what image represents the worst part of the memory now? What emotion do you feel it now? On a scale of 0 to 10, how disturbing does it feel to you now? Bring up that memory, notice where you feel the disturbance in your body, and follow my fingers. And you're back into it. As soon as you say follow my fingers and you do this, you're in phase what? Phase 4. So this is like a mini phase 3. Cool? So steps to begin reprocessing a new target after the previous target is complete. If the target memory is completely processed, go to the next memory. So the next chronological memory that still has a charge by taking a sud and processing phases 3 through 7. So let's say you got, work through some scenarios. Memory 1, age 4. Memory 2, age 6. Memory 3, age 7. Memory 4, age 10. Okay? Let's say you go into that first session, you clear it. You come in the next session, you reevaluate, check on that, make sure it's still clear. Let's say it is, cool. You go to the next one. You can just check, so is this next one, the age 6 one, is it disturbing? How would you rate it 0 to 10? Let's say they say 0. Great, there's nothing to do. So you go to the next one. Let's say you check on it, is it disturbing? No, it feels good. How would you rate it 0 to 10? 0. Great, go to the next one. Does that make sense? And let's say you go to this one and they say, there's a little, that one feels kind of bad. Then you start phase what? Almost.
3.
3.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Different scenario. Let's say you clear this one. Last session you come in and they say, you check on it. Is it disturbing? Yeah, a little, yeah, actually some stuff came up between sessions about that. What do you do then?
Mini phase 3.
Mini phase 3, nailed it, yeah. Yeah, and you kick it off again. Good job.
If it's anything above a 0?
Yeah, that was my next one. Let's say you clear this one, and they come in the next session, and you say, well, you remember what we worked on last time? Yeah. Memory 1, remember that? And they say, you say, is it disturbing? No, it's fine. How would you rate it, 0 to 10? About 2. You'll hear that sometimes. I'd give about a 1. That's incomplete. Right? Oh, so you've kicked that one back off with mini phase 3. I just go and let them know, like, if it's not a 0, maybe there's still a little bit of fuel in there hanging out. It'd be okay if we just worked on that a little bit more and get that all the way clear. Sometimes I'll say, and if it's just a 1 or 2, then it should just fly by. Piece of cake, right?
Have you ever had a situation where you did that and someone was like, well, I really want to work on memory too?
And we will if that's what they're insisting. But I'll make a case for memory 1. Yeah, because I'll let them know, like, if there's any fuel here, fueling this, it might be better to clear that out before we get to this. It might make it easier to work with. You know what I mean? And remember, I'm persuasive, so. Let's say that you clear memory 1 and you're doing a reevaluation. It's still clear, but they say, well, yeah, after the session, I did have another memory come up. They tell you about it. Say that's memory 5. Okay. How old were you? I was 8. You could just make some kind of like squeeze it in here, or you can make some kind of like little star. You know what I'm saying? I've done that before. Memory. You get what I'm saying? Draw an arrow, it doesn't matter, you could write it in here. However you feel, whatever looks good to you on your treatment plan. Then you'll just work your way up, and then do that one in order of age. Or if a client comes in and they say, yeah, I was talking to my mom about what happened, and she told me some stuff about my birth that I'd never heard before, and it really brought up a lot. Great, so there's a new target. So you would then write that in here, and that's where you would start that day, because it's now the earliest one. That makes sense? We're always working up in age.
So now you're just changing the touchdown.
Now this is changing the touchdown. Yeah. Yep. And if it were me, like even if this one was incomplete, and like you're thinking before the client comes, you're just gonna pick back up with this, but they show up with an earlier one, I would go ahead and switch to that one. And then when you get here, just pick it right back up with an incomplete memory. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just keep working your way up.
This is gonna be an odd question. What if there is a memory that should be distressful but is not?
I would check aside, and if there's it says 0, nothing you can do. You know? If they say 1, go for it. Because sometimes people say you've seen this before. Yeah, it's not distressing. No. What is it, 0 to 10? About a 5.
Yeah. Or the like, it's like a 0.3. It's like, oh, there's even a little tinge there. I wonder if there's something to clear out there.
Yeah. Because oftentimes that tinge will open up to, yeah.
A 7.
Yeah, but sometimes people crack me up. Like the video today, we'll see. We're getting really positive responses, and I think this feels like a 0. So I asked her, check this out. I think she says a 6. I was like, well, okay, and sometimes people will put numbers on things because they think they're supposed to. And I think that's what's happening with her. Like it's supposed to be bad, but is it? And sometimes on the flip side, some people are really good at just like being okay. So they'll be like, no, it's okay, it's no problem. Well, how disturbing is a 0 to 10? About an 8. But I'm good. I'm good. So that's a good time, hopefully, that you know their answer. And you know that that's their answer, and you've talked about it before, and you can be like, so I'm wondering if this might be your answer showing up, saying that you're okay when you're not, because you say you're okay, but it's an 8, and that's pretty high. It's actually super high. Considering a 10 is like going to the ER, right? So, just work your way up in age. Any questions about this kind of stuff? So selecting the target's a clinical decision. It's more for you to decide, but luckily the decision is usually always made for you because we're working with the earliest one and working our way up. There are exceptions to the rules in more recent memory. Say a more recent memory just keeps intruding. Like every time you try to go here, this keeps showing up over and over, right? What you can do in that case is you could do the restricted processing around this memory. Like let's say this is a 9 out of 10 and it just keeps showing up when you're trying to work here. You can do restricted to get that down to a lower number, even if it's like a 3, where now it's like it's not so disturbing that it's overpowering everything else, and you could continue the full protocol. The way I describe it is like if it's like this and it's all the client can see, do the restricted processing to help like desensitize it where it's at least like over here and they can see other things now. You follow me on that? And then work your way back up and then hit it again with the full protocol when the time comes. So we talked about present triggers. These are examples of how the presenting issue impacts the client's life now. Looking for a specific moment in time. You're going to reprocess these after you're working your way up, right? So imagine this is our treatment plan. We would have present trigger 1, present trigger 2, present trigger 3, okay? So after you've cleared all of these are good. Then you would go here and start reprocessing these and you just do phases 3 through 7 just like you did before. Everybody understand that? These are memories, even though they're called present triggers. Right? If it's not happening right now, it's going to be past. See me wave my arms? Remember me waving my arms? Right? So that's now a memory, even though it just happened. So if that was traumatic for you, me waving my arms, you could reprocess that with phases 3 through 7. Cool? And then once these are all cleared, you have your future desired states for each one.
The future desired states, like, I know my girls, she's gonna say, I don't have any more seizures. Do you hunt it down further than that if you weren't having seizures?
That's
what would you do?
impossible. Yeah, so it's like we that might kind of be magical thinking in some way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the psychogenic seizure.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a different story then. I don't know, you could kind of play around with that, like, that's actually a really good one. That stumped me a little bit. Can we hang out with that one for just a second? So the present trigger was the time she had a seizure, right? A specific one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was?
The most recent was she went to Topgolf and she got anxious and she had a seizure before she could get out.
Yeah. So I wonder if it would be good to focus more on like her being at Topgolf in a different way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was kind of what was in my head.
Yeah.
It's more than just, I'm not having a seizure, because what is your seizures? What do your seizures keep you from doing?
Right. So it almost sounds like more of like that's a response to the anxiety.
Which I firmly believe it is.
Yeah. So a lot of folks would say like, well, I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to have a seizure. But that's not telling us anything useful. I don't know if I gave the example last time, but if we were going on a road trip and I said, where do you want to go? And you said, I don't want to go to Atlanta. That doesn't tell us anything about where you want to go. It's actually pretty useless information. So clients will say, well, I don't want to be anxious, or I don't want to have a seizure. So it might be more of like, so if that's not happening, what would it be like? If you're not anxious, what would you be, right? We're overdeveloped in knowing what we don't want, underdeveloped in knowing what we do want, so sometimes clients need help. You get me on that? So like, let's maybe come up with a imaginary scenario for her. So let's say I said that to you, so like if you're not anxious, what would that be like for you at Topgolf? How would you see yourself?
Enjoying herself and
Yeah.
socializing with a boyfriend.
Yeah, enjoying and socializing with boyfriend. Right. Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Once all the present triggers are cleared, then you do the future desired states, or the future template protocol for each of the future desired states. We'll get to that in a minute. See if there's any we haven't covered.
Okay, I gotta interrupt you. Is anyone else cold?
I'm gonna turn the air.
What tells you
Just
that?
heat up.
So that's funny, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm cold.
Yeah, my legs are just.
Thank you for saying something.
So when you notice your body, where do you feel the coldest?
My toes.
Legs.
My feet actually feel cold,
I didn't realize I was
It's
cold
just-
until she said it.
which just brought up a memory for me. That's interesting. Let's see. We're gonna process those with phases 3 through 7, just like normal. Any questions about the present trigger part of the treatment plan? Old news? Okay. So the review of the future template. The future template is a part of the EMDR protocol. It's the most neglected by therapists. It's the part of it that I do the least. it's probably gonna be the part that you'll do the least, other than restricted processing. I've done less of that than anything, I guess. But, I think shocks me so hard. Yeah, everything we've done so far on our treatment plan has been that normal phases 3 through 7 reprocessing. This is different. We're getting a vision for with the future desired states for kind of where we're going, not where we're not going, right? Where we're going. And so, let's see. The way that we reprocess this, you ask the client to run a movie of the future desired state. So let's do Topgolf, okay? So imagine like she runs the movie of being at Topgolf, having fun, enjoying herself, being present with her boyfriend. Along with the desired positive cognition. So what might a positive PC be for her with that scenario? Rob?
I'm safe.
I'm safe, perfect. So she's imagining the movie with I'm safe. It's kind of like how you do with the installation phase in the regular protocol. Right? She's running them. She's holding the words "I'm safe" together with that movie, and she just basically would let you know that she's done or that she hit a roadblock. Right? Say she imagines it's her time to hit the golf and on the golf ball, and all of a sudden she starts to feel anxious. That'd be a roadblock. Okay. So if there's no roadblock, if it's all good, she can imagine the whole thing and it feels good. All you have to do is dual attention stimulation while she runs the movie again with the words "I'm safe," and that can happen. Intended to help, like what was the word we used earlier? Enhance, I guess, that positive state. If she does hit a roadblock, I think that should be at backwards, huh? If she does hit a roadblock, instruct the client to notice, this is not right. I'm just going to tell you I'm going to just get rid of this and tell you what's right. If there is a negative thing that shows up, you basically just do a body scan, phase 6. So you have the client notice the sensation in their body. You kind of restrict it down just to sensation. And you do the bilateral stimulation until that sensation is clear. Does that make sense? Then have them run the movie again. If it's positive, reinforce it. If it's negative, go back to the sensation. Basically, you can just do that. If they have a hard time getting to the positive, you could also always help like tweak the story. Is there any changes that we can make to the story to make it more acceptable or believable? Does that make sense? Maybe maybe they're overreaching as far as like what they're imagining. Maybe it's a little unrealistic. You get what I'm saying? Any questions about that? Well, we can watch a movie on it that covers present triggers, future desired states, and future template. Do you have any questions before we start that? How's our vibe doing? How are we feeling other than cold?
I feel better than yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so tired.
All right.
It was crazy. Last night I woke up at like 2 and just had this like, I don't know, it's like I jumped